Today, cryptocurrencies rise as we kick off a key week of earnings and trade talks. Democratic senators court their colleagues to pass a resolution condemning the pardon of Changpeng Zhao, and CleanSpark CEO Matt Schultz breaks down the Bitcoin mining company's pivot to AI. Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Jordan Smith. Digital currencies are getting a boost as we kick off a week of key earnings and a rate decision from the Fed. At the same time, we got positive signs that the U.S. and China could reach a trade truce. By noon Eastern, Bitcoin gained 8%, trading just shy of the $115,000 mark. Ether rose nearly 2.5% to $4,172, and XRP was trading at $2.66. All right, let's talk about the top stories. President Trump has a new pick for CFTC chair. Michael Selig announced on X Saturday he'd been nominated to lead the agency and pledged to, quote, help the president make the United States the crypto capital of the world. The nomination comes after President Trump pulled the nomination of former CFTC Commissioner Brian Quintenz to lead the agency back in September. Since March, Selig has worked under SEC Chair Paul Atkins as chief counsel of the Crypto Task Force, which the agency launched shortly after the president took office. Selig was welcomed by White House AI and crypto czar David Sachs, who said Selig was passionate about modernizing the U.S. regulatory approach to maintaining competitiveness in the digital asset era. Next, Democratic Senators Adam Schiff and Elizabeth Warren are inviting lawmakers to join a resolution condemning President Trump's decision to pardon Binance founder Changpeng Zhao. In a document obtained by CNBC, the senators also called on their colleagues in Congress to use their authority to stop, quote, blatant corruption. The document said that this week, the senators will attempt to pass the resolution by unanimous consent on the Senate floor. Resolutions like this are typically a formal statement of disapproval and are largely symbolic. The letter states that while Zhao was CEO of Binance, the crypto exchange facilitated one of the most prolific money laundering operations in history. It goes on to say that across more than 100,000 transactions, Binance allowed money to flow to child abusers, narcotics dealers, and terrorist organizations, including Hamas, Al-Qaeda, and ISIS, all while Binance did not file a single report about suspicious activity. Zhao pleaded guilty to enabling money laundering on the Binance platform in November 2023. That guilty plea was part of a massive $4.3 billion settlement between the crypto exchange and the DOJ. CZ stepped down as CEO and served 4 months in prison. The letter says that President Trump pardoned Zhao after he reportedly worked to broker billion-dollar business deals with the Trump family's crypto companies. Last week, Senator Warren and Maxine Waters, the top Democrat on the House Financial Services Committee, put out statements slamming the president's decision to pardon CZ. Congresswoman Waters argued that the pardon was a, quote, payoff for CZ's alleged funneling of billions of dollars into Trump's personal crypto company, World Liberty Financial. According to a Wall Street Journal report in May, CZ was helping World Liberty Financial in its global expansion plans, which is something World Liberty denied. The president addressed the decision to pardon CZ during a press conference last week, saying he was granted the pardon thanks to lobbying from CZ's supporters. All right, for our main story, let's talk about CleanSpark. Last week, the company announced it was introducing AI compute to its business model, pivoting away from being a pure-play crypto mining company. That news sent the stock soaring and is part of a larger trend of Bitcoin mining companies looking to diversify into HPC. I spoke with Matt Schultz, CleanSpark's CEO and co-founder, about the pivot. So I want to start this conversation with an announcement you made exactly a week ago. CleanSpark is moving away from being a pure-play Bitcoin mining company and introducing AI compute into its portfolio. Talk to me about what's behind that shift for CleanSpark specifically, because you're not alone. I mean, lots of miners have been doing the same. So talk to me about this decision.
Well, Bitcoin miners are uniquely positioned in that we have the ability to build out and energize data centers very rapidly. And what that's resulted in is, as we're seeing this kind of rush for AI capacity, for example, this morning on CNBC, they were talking about hyperscalers are spending 60% of their free cash flow on CapEx to try and keep up with AI. Well, where we're seeing constraints, is on access to power. So CleanSpark, as an example, started out as an energy company, and 5 years ago, we made a shift to a pure play Bitcoin miner. In that period of time, we've become the largest Bitcoin miner in North America. So what really has led to that is our ability to access energy and land very rapidly and to deploy that. So as we kind of analyze the opportunities, it's readily apparent that the cash flows and the profitability for a pivot or a strategy that's kind of down dual tracks, maximizing the value of our Bitcoin mining operations, but also using that access to land and power to provide AI data center services is really the most appealing for our shareholders.
Yeah, talk about how you sort of offset the demand for power, the cost for power, because it is getting more expensive. How does CleanSpark sort of manage the cost of power in this pivot that you're making?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Bitcoin mining is a very unique load. When there's demand on the grid, in fact, meeting with the principal of one of the utilities in Georgia, they told us that if they had 100 hours per year of flexibility added to the grid, it could solve the vast majority of the rolling brownouts, rolling blackouts that challenge many utilities. So Bitcoin mining is an interruptible load, meaning that we get a signal from the utility when there's increased demand, and we have the ability to curtail those loads and push power back very rapidly. AI data centers, the opposite side of the equation, many of the MSAs require that the uptime is 99 and 5/9 uptime. So blending a Bitcoin mining facility with an AI data center gives you the interruptibility, the flexibility of those loads that the utilities so desperately need. Just a quick story. When Hurricane Helene hit in southern Georgia, we had deployed a facility in a little town called Washington. And previously that town had a 7 megawatt load. We built an 86 megawatt data center to energize surplus power they had from when manufacturing went offshore years ago. So when the hurricane hit, it wiped out the city's substation. We were able to curtail our load and send our power back. The lights came back on at the hospital within an hour while they restored the community infrastructure. So Bitcoin mining really is a terrific partner for utilities. And when you add the stability of the demand for AI, it really makes the perfect customer.
This goes to, I guess, what my next question was, CleanSpark does brand itself as America's Bitcoin miner. It sounds like Bitcoin and mining is going to remain a major part of this business to offer that flexibility. Is that the case?
Most definitely. We have the highest uptime of any of the industrial miners. We have the most efficient fleet of any of our peers. And we've amassed a treasury of more than 13,000 Bitcoin that we've mined ourselves. So, it's $1.5 billion worth of digital currency that we've mined at greater than a 54% gross margin. So it's a terrific part of our business. And what that's enabled us to do is to use that Bitcoin as collateral for a Bitcoin-backed revolving line of credit. So rather than continual dilution or convertible debenture after convertible debenture, we're able to use a revolving line of credit, tap that, secured by the Bitcoin, build out infrastructure, make those OPEX and CAPEX expenditures, and then use our cash flows to retire that obligation. So it's created a phenomenally strong balance sheet. And what we've tried to demonstrate, and I feel like we've been very successful, is that you can operate Bitcoin mining at an industrial scale with a focus on capital stewardship.
Talking about leveraging some of that revenue you're bringing in the announcement, you said that you would use your land and power portfolio to expand this AI initiative. But I'm also wondering if you're looking to expand to new sites or build out in new locations. What's on your roadmap there?
Yeah, most definitely. So currently we operate 1.03 gigawatts of facilities. So energized substations ready to go, not hypothetical future contracts. We have an additional 1.7 gigawatts of pipeline capacity. So our expectation, our plan is that we'll use Bitcoin mining to rapidly build out and scale that infrastructure. And then we can convert data centers that are already established in areas that it makes more sense to convert those to high performance compute and AI. As an example, we have 100 megawatts in the greater metropolitan Atlanta area, which is one of the hotspots for AI compute in North America, I think second to only Northern Virginia.
Going back to something I said at the beginning of this conversation, that pivot to AI being a trend in the crypto mining industry, I'm curious if this is just the business model for crypto miners going forward, that you have to add AI compute into your business rather than being pure play because mining rewards are going down. We talked about power costs. Is this just the trend that we're on now?
I think it is. And there's a reason why. The companies that pivoted early to AI are generally ones that had a less efficient fleet of Bitcoin mining infrastructure. And if it just stands to reason, if you have access to land and power, but you don't have particularly efficient operations, it makes sense to repurpose those assets where it makes the most sense. CleanSpark is somewhat differentiated in that we've consistently had a 98%+ uptime, and we have, as I mentioned before, one of the most efficient fleets in the world. So it gives us flexibility. And what I mean by efficient is, a year ago or a year and a half, one cycle ago, Bitcoin mining machines consumed about 30 watts to process 1 terahash of data. Our fleet now is about half that. So effectively, because of the responsible way that we've scaled our fleet, we can mine about twice as much Bitcoin for the same power that we could just a year and a half or two ago. So having that flexibility has enabled us to continue to operate at 50+% gross margins and build a scalable business. But in doing so, it's given us access to capital and flexibility that the utilities really look towards. We've recently expanded into Cheyenne, Wyoming, and we secured 100 megawatt capacity there. The other party bidding was Microsoft. And certainly Cheyenne didn't select CleanSpark because we had a stronger balance sheet than Microsoft. Rather, we were able to scale up and deploy a 100 megawatt Bitcoin mining facility in about 6 months, where to build a proper AI data center is going to take 3 to 6 years. So we were able to monetize those megawatts, which will then allow us to build a proper data center and repurpose those for the highest value for our shareholders.
All right, that's all for Crypto World today. We're back again tomorrow, and we'll see you then.